Somehow he's still standing. He desperately needs this win to force the tiebreaker. These guys are tanks.
2,000 pounds of weight. Come on.
Bartley has stripped off about half of his weight, and there's still over 700 pounds.
Sideways good.
Yeah, that's good. So how things going with you?
Hey, pretty good, brother. What about you?
Yeah, same old, pretty good. How's the Corona life treating you? Has anything changed?
Well, I'm on the front line, so it's normal day of work for me.
So like, kind of tell us about it. What do you mean you're on the front lines?
I'm a state trooper.
Okay.
Here. Yeah, we've seen it all, you know, from shut down to open up and everything in between. So,
have you had a lot of like issues with people as far as like not? And you know, I know every state and county is different, but have you had a lot of issues? People like not abiding by like protocol and things of that nature?
I mean, for the most part, you know, everybody's kind of following in line with what they're supposed to be doing. More than anything, people was probably getting a little, you know, because we weren't pulling over as many cars, you know, just when it was in the thick of COVID, and nobody really knew how strong it was and potential infections and stuff like that. So,
sure,
you know, we slowed down on the enforcement of some things, you know, which kind of led to people, you know, like for instance, speeding tickets and stuff. We slowed down on that a little bit. So of course everybody's going 15, 20 miles an hour faster than what they do. So
yeah. I think we're actually close by. Where are you located at?
Kentucky.
Oh, you're in Kentucky. Okay. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah. So I saw on your profile for the DWAYNE Johnson's show that you were on the Titan games, that you were you a Tennessee Titans mascot or something to that effect?
Yeah. Last year I was. So not sure about this upcoming year yet, but you know, you heard that they're doing half the stadium, right?
So like they're going to fill half the stadium for the games.
That's what I read. So
I don't know how that's going to go, because, you know, we're getting this second wave and everything. It's, you know, everything is so touch and go. Every week is like something different, you know, that's being put out. So I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, the only sporting event right now that's going on is the UFC, really. Outside of that, I haven't really seen anything else.
Yeah, man, I'm just like, I'm kind of over it just because I've traveled, and I mean, maybe I've already had it and I don't know it, you know, but we just had our first Titan Games reunion a couple weeks ago. You know, I went to Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, you know, all in the airports, you know, hanging out like nothing ever happened, you know.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think that's part of the problem. The problem is you're getting so much different information, like from different places, and it's like nobody knows what's actually happening. Like nobody knows what the facts are, you know. So but I mean, either way, you know, you got to follow whatever the protocol the state puts out there. So so as far as like you and like your fitness, you know, you're big guy, you know, muscular guy. How did you get into fitness, and, you know, at the very beginning, at the outset of your life?
Have we started recording yet? I'm just curious.
Yeah, we have, but it's not live. Okay. So if you ever want me to cut something out, I can.
No, I was just I didn't know.
Yeah, I got you.
Putting a breeze, or if we were going. So
yeah, we're recording.
Okay, got you. All right. What was the question again?
The question was, how did you get started with fitness in your life?
I started when I was 12 years old. My dad, you know, he kind of encouraged me to start. You know, we had the little garage bench and weight set, you know, so he kind of cut my teeth on that. And, you know, he's also a high school football coach, so he had access to the gym at the school. So, you know, once I was about 12, we started hitting it pretty hard. You know, basic stuff. You know, bench. Didn't do much leg starting out. You know, lot of parents are scared with the growth plates and everything, and starting them too young. But we did, chest, arms, shoulders, back, and I started, got the newbie gains, and I took off. And of course, I'm always eating like a monster. So that accelerated the process. So, after about a year or so, I was like, all right, Dad, let's go work out. Let's go. So I fell in love with it. And I mean, yeah, I'm so crazy about it now, man, that even during this quarantine stuff, I got me a storage unit, and I went to storage unit every day, worked out, in a little 1-bedroom apartment right now before we get a house.
Yeah. So a storage unit, like, did you put like the weight sets and everything in it, or did it come that way?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have much, but I came out, see, I'm a personal trainer, online coach at the same time. So I was like, well, I could benefit from this, because not many people know how to, do a full week of workouts with just a set of dumbbells. What do they do? So I put together a pandemic pump program, which was dumbbell only. So all I had was a set of power blocks. They're nice, go from like 10 to 70. So I had those and a bench, and that's all I had. And, made pretty good progress, let alone maintaining during quarantine. So
sure,
it kind of brought me back to my old days of, working out in the garage. It's got the garage feel. It's just you and yourself, working on your own time, doing your own stuff. So I actually enjoy it.
Yeah, I just went, like, I was looking for some weights and everything, and just haven't been able to find any. Finally, Academy Sports over here in Franklin got some weights, and I went and just got kettlebells. Like, it was just different sets of kettlebell weights. Man, you can do anything with those things. I mean, it's like I could do any exercise. That's all I need. I mean, really. I mean, I love going to the gym. I love the environment. I love the hammer strength. But if I was stuck to kettle weights, I could do that no problem. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I had some bands too, and I was kind of doing like the first week. I was, how long is this going to last? I'll do bands for a little bit. It'll be a good little mix up. Started. I busted a band. I was doing a little. I was doing triceps, and I snapped one of those, and it went viral on TikTok. I thought it was
you need a thicker band.
Yeah.
So are you competitive? Do you compete in bodybuilding as well?
Yeah. This year was my first year off in probably 5 years. Okay. I think it was a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like everybody is taking most of the year off.
I think the last 3 years I've competed in classic. Actually, I've been competing for 10 years. My first show was back in 2010. It was bodybuilding. So it was, it's hard for a 20-year-old to go against 35-year-olds. So I took
sure.
Yeah.
There's a different level of muscle maturity, I'm sure there. So
I took off about 4 or 5 years, just to add muscle. And I'm like, man, I'm not getting back up there until I can win,
Right.
And then classic, which is like a godsend for me because, I'm 6'1", and, getting on stage with guys that are 5'4" weighing the same weight as you, it just don't look right.
Right. Yeah. The shorter you are, the more like the illusion of having more mass. It's easier, So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Classic was awesome because, it's kind of levels the playing field when it comes to height weight ratios. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I've won several overall titles with classic in the past few years. So
you kind of found your niche.
Well, I did, but the last 3 years I've had to like lose muscle just to make the weight cap. So I'm considering going into super heavyweight, which is the big boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of need to take a year off. I'm about 270 right now. So
yeah. Well, this is the time to do it. There's not that many shows around. Season's kind of, you know, more or less a bust. I mean, it sounds like they're gonna have the Olympia, but you know,
Yeah.
who knows what else is gonna happen. So let's get kind of into the show, Dwayne Johnson's show, the Titan Games. So how did you get on the show? Did you apply? Did they call you?
Actually, I filled out all my stuff for season 1. You know, I was like, man, that'd be cool. Rock's the man. I can't wait, you know. And the very last part was a 3-minute video telling why you should be on the Titan Games. I'm like, man, I don't know. You know? And I was like, I don't want to make a video. First of all, you know, do I do it on iMovie, or, you know, do I pay somebody to do it, or, you know, I wasn't as good, you know, my YouTube channel hadn't grown as much back then. So I really didn't know what I was doing. I procrastinated, put it off. Come around season 2, people were tagging me in it. He's like, oh man, you'd be awesome on this show. You need to do this. And I was like, well, I've already got all the paperwork saved, you know, on NBC website. So all I have to do now is just do that video. So I actually put in the video the day of the deadline. So I pushed it once again, but I was on the Stairmaster and I was just editing iMovie. So, you know, it actually worked out for the better that I didn't do it the first season, because for this season, I've got a lot more accolades. Like, I wasn't the Titans mascot yet, and I hadn't turned professional in competitive eating yet, you know, so I had those 2 to go along with the state trooper and the bodybuilder,
Right.
and kind of meshed it all together, did a voiceover, you know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they look at all that. I'm sure. I was actually like looking over some of your, you know, competitions during the show, and the one that I was like really impressed with, and you know, you were great in all of them, but the one that I was impressed with the one that, and I don't know the name of it, but where you push the gate, like, or that door.
Yeah, Lunar in.
That's it. And so the reason I was so impressed with that is because by the time you got up the ladder, the door was almost to the edge. So for you to come back, you know, it was quite an incredible sight to see. What was going through your mind when you're climbing up that ladder?
Yeah, man, that was kind of like my Super Bowl moment there. You know, that did a lot for my career. You know, meant a lot to my family, to myself. You know, just being in the hole, you know, and putting it all out on the line, and be able to mentally, you know, overcome and physically achieve that was pretty wild. So yeah, I was, you know, Matt's an incredible athlete. I think he's like 6-time CrossFit Games, you know, stud, firefighter, climbing ladders all the time. My big butt, you know, ain't climbed a ladder in probably 10 years. So, you know, he smoked me up the ladder. Knew it was coming. I was just like, you know, I'm going to have to rely on my strength and just mental capacity to try to outlast him, you know. So, you know, I got about 6 inches from the, you know, I absorbed most of the impact. I put a good football shoulder into it, kind of like a old school football sled. You know, that's kind of what I told my dad before, you know, because he came backstage, gave me a little pep talk. Of course, they filmed it and everything, but they didn't show it. You know, he's like, "You got this." And I was like, "Yeah." It's like old football sled. So, you know, if you've ever hit the football sled back in the day, you know how grueling it can be when it's 100 degrees outside and you get all the equipment on. And, you know, we had helmets on the show. So, you know, I was just like, it's going to suck, but, you know, that's what it's going to take. And that's what I'm going to do. So backed me up about 6 inches from the ledge. It might've been closer than that. I didn't realize it was that close until I saw it on the season premiere.
Yeah, it was real close. It looked like you weren't going to get it when you were up the ladder because I mean, he was really pushing that thing hard, and it was close, but I mean, you pulled it off. Yeah.
So it actually that took 22 minutes.
Wow. So the lactic acid and everything in your muscles must have been killing you at that point, you know?
I've told many people that it's the most pain, most lactic acid I've ever thought the human body could withstand before just collapsing, you know. And I was, you know, it took me 15 minutes to walk him back to the starting point, to the midway point. And that's when we were both like at max threshold right there. And, you know, and I looked down, you know, of course I'm looking down and it's my family in the front row and the Rock standing right in front of them. I'm like, man, hey, don't get no better than that.
That's all the motivation you need, huh?
And then especially, you know, I looked at the Rock in his eyes and I was like gassed to the max. I was like exhaling, just like, and he was just like, did this. It's all I saw. And I was like, oh man, it's all I needed. And I just, you know.
So at that point, the point where you say you looked at the Rock and you saw your family, was that when you both were back to back to the door? So there was a point where both of you had your back to it, and it looked like you were both trying to get some air. You know, was that when that happened?
Yeah, that was. And the scary thing about it is, you know, in the rule book they talk about, you know, a stalemate and the producers have the right to reset it. Or I'm like, man, if y'all reset this after 15 minutes of death, man, I was like, please don't do it. That was in the back of my head. I was like, just make a little progress, you know, even if it's an inch, you know. So it was, you know, I'd get 2 steps in, he'd get 1, you know. I'd get 2 in, he'd get 2 in, you know. And it was just a battle. And then, you know, I finally, you see, this is the crazy part. I tore my hamstring at the combine 3 weeks before.
Oh, like, wow. Okay.
They don't, you know. And it's not an excuse for anything, you know, but it was something that I had to mentally and physically prepare for, you know. It changed my training. It changed. No, I didn't test it until that was the first hamstring, you know, dominant test.
Did you have to recover? Like, how did you recover from the tear? Did you have to have surgery or anything like that? No?
No, I talked to my orthopedic surgeon. He's like, it's basically like tying 2 frayed ropes together. He's like, you know, it's you know, it wasn't like the main bicep femoris, you know, it was you know, the tendinosis, whatever.
I got you.
Back in there. So it was up high, and actually, and I sound old as crap, falling apart. So I tore up near my glute ham tie-in on my left one on the 40 dash at the combine. And then I pulled my lower right on the same thing because I pulled up so hard on my left when it popped that my right one caught too. I was like, daggone, man. I was like, and what's crazy is a few other people did the same thing. I had a buddy that tore both and got rhabdo.
Oh, so wow. Okay.
Compared to him, but
yeah, that tends to happen to like bigger guys when you have a lot of muscle on you and you move fast. It's like sometimes that happens.
So I was blessed to be given an opportunity because, you know, if you're a producer and you're looking at a guy that's can't even walk coming out of the combine, I mean, that's, you know, kind of like damaged goods, you know. Yeah. I think more than anything, my storylines kind of saved me on that, and gave me a shot, you know. And I told the producers, I was like, you know, I was unable to do the deadlift and VO2 max, which they didn't have any questions about deadlifting, you know.
Right.
And VO2 max, I was actually looking forward to doing it because you know, going into the show, I was like 14 months straight of an hour cardio daily. So
okay. So you were hitting it pretty hard.
Yeah, I'm a cardio machine. I have to, as much as I eat. You know, that's kind of my thing. You know, eat more, do more cardio. So, so that, you know, I told the producer, I was like, hey man, if you give me a shot, I'm going to do everything in my power. I'll buy the best treatment that man can buy. You know, I was doing cryotherapy twice a day, deep tissue massage, dry needling, massage gun, E-stim, physical therapy. I mean, I was doing everything you can think of. It was like pretty full day of therapy plus working my jobs.
Yeah.
So,
Did it help? Like the cryotherapy, all that, did it help?
well, it, you know, the typical recovery. I've got a couple buddies in the NFL, and I kind of reach out to them and see, you know, because of course that's a hamstring tear sport, you know,
Yeah.
and so I reached out to them. They kind of gave me some guidance on what to do, and you know, I was like, you know, what's the typical recovery? And they're like, you know, 6 to 8 weeks is typical, you know, add pull, you know, let alone tear. So I mean, I was blessed to come. That was 3 weeks to the date when I did lunar impact from the tear. And even after backstage, you know, I got a chance to talk to The Rock, you know, and you know, I was dumping Pedialyte in my water bottle, you know, I was smoking, and I was, you know, they had medics on me and everything else because my heart rate was about 200.
Yeah.
And, you know, he came back up there, and, you know, he was like, you wouldn't have pulled that shit off if you wasn't 270. I was like, thank you, Rock. It's like motivation to stay swole right there when The Rock's saying that. And but I showed him the bruise, and he couldn't believe it. And I was like, man, you know, I'm blessed, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that's neat to be able to have The Rock in your corner. You know, that's if you ever had to have a corner man, you know, that would be the guy you'd want.
Yeah, definitely the ultimate hype man right there.
Yeah. So do you, throughout the show, do you interact with him often, or was it just during those moments?
We only saw him, you know, when it was showtime.
Gotcha.
You know, busy man. He's there at Atlanta Metro Studios and filming multiple things. He was down there filming Red Notice for Netflix and doing some other high profile stuff. So, you know, he's jumping from one set to another, and I don't know how he stays on top of it, but
you got to be organized for sure to do all that.
So we basically saw him when it's game time. So I was pretty fortunate to have some one-on-one time with him backstage. As busy as he is, you know, he actually stopped, and, you know, when I was pouring in the water bottle, he came up behind me and grabbed my trap. He was like, "What's up, brother?" You know, I'm like, "Rock, what's up?"
So there was there was a competition, if I remember correctly, where you had to pull like the poles out, right? Correct.
Right.
And there was the first, I believe it was the first one, again, if I remember correctly, where you kind of got a little hung up on. So do you remember like what the issue was? Was it the angle, or like what was the problem?
I'm pretty sure it was the angle, and probably my fault for, you know, we had about 5 minutes notice of what we were doing. So I got on my phone real quick and I typed in Herculean pull. I was like, you know, I want to see, you know, technique from first season.
Right.
And every single person was doing this like I was doing, you know, and I should have went into it, open mind, clear instincts, and just pulled it out, you know, however I thought was best.
Right.
Because it wasn't that heavy. I think the pole, you know, it's a huge pole, and it's only like 100 pounds.
Right.
So it wasn't heavy at all. But, you know, it's just awkward, you know, pulling something like that about that big out. So I was doing that, and I'm taller than most people on the show, even though I'm only 6'1". And so the height of it, like I had to kind of crouch down just to get it like that, you know.
Right.
About right here if I stood up next to it. So I was having to do a little crouch and pull, and when I'm doing that, I'm thinking I got a bad angle on it, and it's you could hear it screech on TV, and then I was just like, man, this ain't coming out smooth. So,
you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of like whenever you try to pull a 45 off a peg, and you don't get like the angle's not right. It takes like it gives you a lot of like,
Exactly.
rubbish, so, and that's what it looked like. It looked like you were pulling it, but the angle wasn't just right. So it was like rubbing up against the edges, and it was harder to pull.
Yeah, I was, that was a tough pill to swallow, just because, everybody saw my grit and my will on the wall, and to go out with just a little technicality that, I just wanted to be on that middle pole. That'd be a
Right.
big wall hanging on that pole, in the middle.
Yeah.
And I think he told me after, Matt told me after, he's like, man, he's like, I'm glad you didn't make it to that middle pole. He's like, I would still smoke from that wall. He's like, I can barely even feel my calf. So
yeah,
it is what it is, and I think everything happens for a reason, and
sure.
Hopefully anybody that needed to see something, they saw it on the Lunar Impact. And Matt's a incredible competitor. He's a stud. So he'll do good on the show. So.
Yeah, I thought that, I think part of this show, part of it is obviously trying to win, but a part of it is also showcasing who you are to the audience on TV and, everywhere else that sees it. And I definitely think you did that. And like you said, the Lunar Impact was your highlight. And I think people saw your heart, in that. So
yeah,
definitely.
I just love the simplicity of, I've always been one that, hey, just let me go to work, let me work for it, and and that's part of the Titan games. You got to be well rounded, and you got to have the technique. You've got to have everything. And the very first one we didn't talk about was the nuts and bolts. I was unscrewing faster, and I was actually ahead. I couldn't see him because I'm on the left, he's on the right, and we're both right-handed. So he's looking at me undoing it, and I'm looking, away.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really know where I was, but I told myself, I was like, I'm going premature. I was like, I'm going forward early. I was like, got a torn hammy, don't know if it's going to hold up, the rest of the show. So I need to try to squeak out one here early. So, like the Rock said after that, he's like, yeah, I probably would have went early too,
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was like, man, if you're going to win $100,000, you got to take a risk at some point. So I was like, why not right out of the gate,
Right.
So.
Right. I mean, I think that's part of the thing, it's like, it's part of risk taking. It's like, sometimes it pays off and sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
And it's like,
Right.
it wouldn't be a risk if it always paid off, so,
right.
but
Look at it this way. If that wall came down that early, ain't nobody on the show pulled it that early, and, showed a lot of guts, just
for sure
going for it. So
absolutely. I agree with you. So do you have like plans if now? Are you going to try to like go on to another show? Do you have like anything else that whether it's fitness related, training, what's going on now with you?
Right now, as far as shows goes, I don't have any immediate plans. Kind of just got a couple agents that are wanting to talk, and I don't know if they're, I think it'd be cool to be in, have a little background role in a movie or something like that. Mm-hmm. Wish I could talk The Rock into letting him whoop me in Jumanji 3. I think that would be. But so anything in that realm, I'm open to. Focused on a lot of business stuff right now. Of course, I got the personal training, DreamWeaverFit.com. I've been coaching, doing programs, and meal planning off of that for the past 4 years. And I just launched Titan Fuel. TheTitanFuel.com is my supplement that I just created. So we've got a lot of merch and supplements going to be cranked out off of that site. And me, I'm just trying to capitalize off of all the blessings, with the Tennessee Titans and now the Titan game. So Titan Fuel, here's my shot to capitalize and, try to help people in the process.
That's exciting. Are you going to be doing like protein? Are you like, well, what are some, I mean, you don't have to name the whole list, but
it's only one product right now. We're doing one at a time. Just the minimum order quantity these days is,
Gotcha.
you know, it's pretty steep, you know, especially starting out. So the first product is we're calling it pre-AA. So it's pre-workout and EAAs in one product.
Oh, wow.
So
interesting.
I think there's only been one person to ever do it. It's like Jim Stepani, you know, and but ours is mine. It's you know, it's basically all the ingredients. I've been taking supplements for 15 years probably, you know, and so I put everything that I wanted in it, and I think it's going to be pretty awesome. I've already had close to 100 pre-orders, and don't even have, you know, it's supposed to be made this week. They had it mixed last week. They're adding the flavoring system to it this week. So yeah, I'll definitely I'm only an hour from Nashville, so I'll have to come down and we'll get the workout in or something.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if so far the gyms are still open, so we can definitely do something like that. So you plugged in like 2 of the websites that you're involved in. If somebody wanted to do more collabs with you, like reach out to you, what would be the best way to contact you?
My Instagram's growing. Ever since The Rock gave me that shout out, I've got in some type of algorithm. Like it's blowing up. So Dreamweaver IV is my Instagram handle, or you could always email me results at dreamweaverfit.com. Okay. There's thousands of ways to get a hold of me. I've got like 4 Instagram pages and YouTube and emails and everything. But you know, awesome. I'm always open to doing something. I'll tell you what, I probably do more collabs on food challenges and stuff like that more than anything these days.
Interesting. So like what, like food challenges in what way?
I don't know how much you read about me in the bio or whatever, but I'm a pro eater too. So ranked 32 in the world. So a lot of restaurants, you know, they want the professional eater to come in and, you know, they'll either make a food challenge for me or have like an existing menu. And I like doing that and, you know, giving back to charity. You know, I made more eating as an amateur, you know, but, you know, I've got a 3-year contract with Major League Eating. So there's certain things I can and can't do. So I'm just like, just going to do it for charity. You know what I mean? So we'll get a bunch of people out and have a fun little event.
That's pretty interesting. You don't run across, you know, a lot of people that do that, you know, competitively, so to speak, you know. So how did you get into that?
I've always been a big eater. Like I said, my parents used to make one meal for me and one meal for the family, you know, it was like double serving, you know, so I've always been a big eater and, you know, and I was more of a capacity eater more than a speed eater, but, you know, certain contests call for speed, you know, so I kind of picked it up and started going to different cities, winning different things. Actually, you'll probably know, 2 years in a row, I won the taco eating championship in that.
Yeah.
The basement. You remember?
Yeah.
Hit by the tornado.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that last part. What'd you say?
Or got by the tornado. East Nashville.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's like $150 just eat tacos for 5 minutes, you know, so.
That's it. Yeah.
Now it was like a cheat meal to me. I'd go hit legs fast and then go down and win, have a good time. So
you should do that like right before your competitions when you carb up. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, Bartley, thank you so much for your time. You know, I'll definitely tag everything, all your IG and all your info so people can reach out to you guys. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe at the bottom. And again, I know you're a busy man. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, brother.
You take care. Bye-bye.